I was like, damn, nothing insane. She was like, baby, you on my hand. Surprise! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Warlock here. So, this video is going to be a tutorial on how to sound like TikToker and modern day rock star Jeris Johnson. I'm going to be showing you how to do the two different vocal techniques he uses when singing, and then I'm also going to be showing you how you can mix these kinds of vocals to sound like Jeris Johnson. So before we jump into it, if you're not already, please consider subscribing. It's free. You can unsubscribe whenever you want, so you might as well, and it helps me out a whole lot. Also, a huge percentage of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed. So if you do enjoy my videos, just don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So when you hear Jeris Johnson sing, whether that's in his songs or his TikToks, for the most part he uses his very kind of raspy, gravelly voice. It's not so insanely raspy or gravelly that it's sing-screaming. It's not screaming or sing-screaming. It's still singing, and it's still pretty low-key singing, honestly. Like, it's not anything crazy. He's not singing crazy high notes or anything. It's pretty low-key singing, but he does have that raspiness to it. So how do you get that in your voice? Well, the answer is in glottal compression. Now, there is a bunch of different types of distortions. The main ones are fry, glottal compression, false chord, and there's other ones like soft tissue distortion, inhale, and bridge distortion. But I think the best way to go about trying to do something like this is definitely with glottal compression. Now, you could attempt it with fry, but when you listen to him, it's pretty clear that it's glottal compression. And when it's things that are more singing like this, I feel like glottal compression just works better and more easily with singing, especially if it's kind of low key like this, nothing crazy. If you're belting super high notes, then fry can work for for singing with a bit of rasp to it. But in reality, for this kind of vocals, I think glottal compression is really the best way to go to actually get that distortion, to get that grit in your voice. So how do you go about getting this distortion? Well, I've talked about this a few different times on my channel, but I will explain it again. Basically, the science behind it is there's this kind of piece of cartilage, I guess, in your throat called your glottis. I think it's technically called like your epiglottis, but nonetheless, that's where glottal compression comes from. And since it's called glottal compression, what you're doing is you're compressing the air in your lungs so that when you let some air out as your voice, it's high pressure and it like rattles your glottis around, basically creating this raspy sound. That's why it's called glottal compression. So a quick way to do that is to just suck a lot of air into your lungs and then shut your vocal folds off, okay? And the way you're gonna do that is going like this, huh, like you're lifting up something heavy, huh, make that sound. That's your vocal folds, huh, shutting off like that, all right? And what that's gonna allow you to do is it's gonna allow you to build tension in your lungs, so that you can release air at very high pressure. So once you do that, the next thing you're going to want to do is start building up that pressure by compressing with your diaphragm. So basically what that means is you just have to like flex your abs really hard. Flex your abs and your diaphragm and everything that's under here. Diaphragm is the muscle that controls your lungs, and it's right under your ribs, right under here. I don't know if you can see me there. Basically you're flexing that, and you're flexing all of your abs to push that air and compress it. So it's 3 steps. Breathe in, shut your vocal folds off, and then compress. And you'll start to hear that grit coming through, and you're going to want to make kind of an angry sound to begin with. Once you kind of got that sound down of figuring out how to get that grit, it's just a matter of singing the melody and then just doing that technique basically at the same time. So for this video, I was using the his song Damn as an example. It's his biggest song. No, 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 no. I was like, damn. Okay, and all you're gonna want to do is sing that, but in that position where you're compressing and you're creating that distortion sound. So, talk like this. If you talk like this, now you're talking with glottal compression. So you just want to sing like that. I was like, damn. And then one more thing I want to say about this technique is that the way Jeris Johnson sings is kind of almost a form of yarling, if you know what that is. But that's kind of singing with this specific accent that was popularized, I guess, in the 90s by grunge bands. I don't know, people like Puddle of Mud and Nickelback use this kind of accent, I guess, when they're singing, which is called yarling. And Jeris Johnson does this a little bit. So like Metallica does it a little bit as well, but it's kind of this accent, right? Like you're gonna wanna everything you're gonna say it like this. Don't open up like this, you know. So like if you're gonna say yeah, 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 if you're gonna sing that, let's say, you would do a technique, yeah, but you do it like that rather than yeah, because that's too open and that doesn't sound like it. So to use this accent, it's kind of more of a closed, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. You're gonna talk like this, almost like a southern accent kind of thing, but you're gonna, in this position, it's almost like a little bit of a southern accent, but that's where the yarling is. Yeah. Now, the second vocal technique that I wanted to talk about is his falsetto that he does, which is pretty simple, but you'll notice in basically everything that he does, he's switching between mainly using this gritty kind of singing and into his falsetto. So if you don't know how to do falsetto, because a lot of guys actually don't just instinctively know how to do it, so I'll just show you that really quickly. But basically all it is it's a way of singing kind of up in your head voice. So you have to understand you have different registers in your voice. You have your chest voice, which is what I'm using right now, is what we use to speak, and then you also have your head voice, falsetto, and you also have whistle, and there's a few other ones, theoretical ones. You also have mix. But basically, falsetto is just another register. So if you've never tried to go into falsetto before, there's a few different ways to try it. You can try talking like Mickey Mouse, and if you can do a good impression of Mickey Mouse, or I probably don't do a good one, but if you can just kind of get up in that range, you're basically already doing falsetto. So like, oh hi kids, talk like this, like I'm basically in falsetto. In reality, I'm using more like head voice there, but it's still in the same area. Another way is to just move your voice up in pitch until you hear like a break in your vocal range. So like this, you hear that kind of breaks. That's where it's going from chest to falsetto. And also head voice, but mainly the difference between head voice and falsetto is that falsetto, there's not good chord closure, which means there's a lot of air coming through, so it's like a whisper. Okay, so if you can do head voice like this, it's just a matter of making it more breathy. Yeah, so that's how you do falsetto. So he's pretty much always switching between those two techniques. So if you get those two down, you've got the Jeris Johnson sound down pretty much. So now I'm going to explain how you can mix those style of vocals to sound like Jeris Johnson. Okay, so I'm just going to explain the mixing really quickly. First of all, I'm just going to play it again. This is what you heard in the intro. I'm just going to play it again really quickly. I was like, damn, nothing insane. She was like, baby, won't you hold my hand? Okay, so that's what we're going to be taking a look at now. I did actually make this beat myself just so I don't get copyright claimed. It's not the original beat. I just made it the other day. It's basically a copy of the banjo beat. Anyways, here's the vocals by themselves. I was like, damn, nothing insane. She was like, baby, won't you hold my hand? Okay, so there are the vocals by themselves. Now there's like 4 tracks here to make the whole thing, but they all have pretty much the exact same mixing on it. So to get the Jeris Johnson sound, you want like a pretty auto-tuney kind of sound, right? It is auto-tuned and it is pitch corrected because that's the sound of it. So we do have auto-tune on all of these tracks. I'm using auto-tune EFX Plus, region speed 5, and the key is C minor. And oh whoops, where to go? And we have that going on all of these tracks. Now the problem is that autotune gets confused with gritty singing. With any kind of singing with distortion, it gets really confused about it, and it won't tune it properly. So what I had to do is tune a few of these things manually, and the way I did that, I'll show you right now. So usually I have some of these clips that are kind of separated. So the way you do that, you just highlight a clip and then move it around like that, and then it's its own clip like that. So I have. So I just went through and found any notes that were not perfectly in tune. So for example, this section here, and I would just highlight it, and then you can double click on it and come over here and you want to have warp on, make sure it's in complex mode. This is all in Ableton, but there's ways to do this in FL Studio or whatever else. You just have to kind of look it up. In Audacity, it's not really possible to do the same kind of manual pitch correction. You're going to have to be using a pretty good DAW, but you can try your chances with just getting a really good take and using just Autotune on it. But we have Autotune on all these, and we're also doing this manual pitch correction. So you turn the warp on, make sure it's in complex mode, and this one I just did a transposition of one semitone to pitch grade it, so you just have to play it by ear and listen to it and go through and find notes that don't sound good and fix them manually like that. And I've done that to the whole thing. And I do have two tracks here, and that's because I pitch corrected these sections here, but I needed to overlap a little bit, so I put on a different track so they can overlap so it sounds better. It's not such a harsh transition. And then we have the main section here. We have the little falsetto track up here. And that's that, and then we have this little section down here. Now also on here I do have a noise gate just to take out some of that background noise, and then here I have a little bit of distortion, and there's just 30% drive on an overdrive distortion thing, and it's on all the tracks, just a little bit of distortion to make it a little bit grittier and to make it stand out a little bit better in the mix. So yeah, that is how you mix these vocals. Okay, and that is it. That is the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any other artists that you want to see tutorials for, drop them down in the comments. Many more tutorials and videos coming very soon. If you haven't already, check out my music on my channel here, also on all streaming services including Spotify, so go check out my own music if you haven't already. Isaiah Warlock, that's my name, you already know, but yeah. Here's my Instagram as well. Go follow me on Instagram if you want to, and also follow me on TikTok unless you're watching this on TikTok, which is probably not, because I'd edit this part out if it was a TikTok. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. I'm Isaiah Warlock, and goodbye.
Surprise!